Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the channel. So before we dive into this one, drop a sub, drop a like, drop a comment. Those three things really do help the channel grow. It helps me bring more content to you, the listeners. So as per the video yesterday, we really need to do a follow-up on this and get you in the lane of direction that we are currently thinking here behind the scenes, so to speak. With this route towards foundation that I've spoken about, with enterprise and everything like that, there is work that does need to, it's never ever going to be something that we can just go, yeah, cool, you know, we can use this. There has to be work done on our side in order for our systems to become cross-compatible. It's very important to have all the knots, the bows, the T's crossed and the I's dotted. Now, with this all being said, right, the road to foundation provides our blockchain, from my perspective, with cures to payments, cures to job markets, cures to DAO systems, cures to mostly all of our problems. And it will enable us to be a chain that has all the bells, has all the whistles, with very little amount of work our side. If anything, we're just shadowing another chain. And honestly, it's the best thing we could do with the symbiotic relationship between our prices being in the cosmos. You harness what you have around you, and we just don't have many decisions, many routes that people agree with at this moment in time, but this seems to be something that's becoming more and more accepted. So my actual goal with all of this is, like I said, it's to build cures and not provide you with pills. This pay per job and governance rule job list is more or less it's a pill/cure, because it will do the job up until the point of where we could possibly utilize labor market if we do all of the correct things in order to be able to utilize that. But as TFL have said, it's cross-chain by standard, meaning that anybody can utilize it as long as you put the work in. So with this all being said, there's a lot of people who keep saying, you know, we need a project manager, we need a leader, we need to get someone in a position where the community can look to them. And I totally get it. But what we need to understand is that's just, it's a pill. And we're going to lead back to that same sort of situation over and over again. Whereas the advantages to a model like this, it offers the community enhanced clarity on fund allocation and provides developers with clear tasks, specific directives, and their associated compensations. Though rudimentary, the model is straightforward to implement and can be abandoned again once advanced tools are integrated. And this is all part of the journey, right? Getting to the point of where we can utilize cures and doing what we can in the meantime. So there's a lot of people who are acting as if there's no direction, there's no one really to work on these things. And it's just total horse, because there's so many of us behind the scenes that are here and we're working for free. And even if it does come down to needing, for example, a group of developers, like I said in my previous video, it's not hard to find 4 developers, 2 L2s, 2 L1s. It's not hard, right? And they can be guided and they can come to the chain when they're needed, instead of relying on a monthly sort of paid team, and they don't really have an outline of work. They don't really know where it's going. And it's all to do with this monthly compensation model and grants for developers. It's a consistent sense of financial security. So this model intends to not only, because if I had it my own way from my perspective, I would actually create a developers pool with a developer spend proposal and actually setting aside a budget which specifically goes to that pool, as to which you provide a further fail-safe for a model like this, because the only funds that should be available then are what is in the developer's pool, giving the community pool a sense of security that is never going to be depleted. And it's all part of portraying this broader image of what's going on. For me, everything right now should be pushed towards working with TFL and doing our utmost best to act like a chain that wants to get this done. But like I've said, there's going to be so many people that want to have a hand in this that are not more or less going to put themselves, for example, on a spend proposal. They're not going to put themselves at the top, so their heads are the ones that get chopped off. And it's not going to be them that gets these developers from an external thing, because ultimately, right, there's so many people on chain that want to have things to do with it. But then I look at their historical based record and think to myself, well, you hired developers and you had an inside job. And we've seen this with, I think, like 4 different dexes across board now. Even prior to the Terraport crash, there was little things going on where you were seeing these very minute rug pulls for around $4,000 or $5,000 at a time. And we all saw what happened with lunatics and all of those different things. So moving forward, right, we should never put ourselves in a position again where we're paying a team to sit around, twiddle their thumbs, and more or less hold control over the repository and work in a very funneled and centralized environment as to which it's all being built in a vacuum. We don't know what's going on. That then spills out into the broader community. People like Mike P get annoyed. People like Aru get annoyed, and they start to lose not so much themselves, but they're annoyed, and we're all annoyed. And because we don't know what's going on, we get more annoyed. So you get frustrated, and that frustration then leads to you going on Twitter and venting your frustration, which we're all totally allowed to do. I get it, but ultimately this could all be avoided in the original case of just not putting a team in this position ever again. At this point, what you need is more or less, it's so hard to word something like this because so many people have said Senates before, but Senate's a very poor choice of wording. You think of Star Wars, you kind of think of that side of things, and we've been down this route before. So I think it's just more of having chain gurus to simply look at something and go, right, we want to add warp protocol to our chain. Okay, what do we need to do? Okay, so the chain gurus are saying we need to do A, B, C, and D. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. This needs to be done. Crunch that down into a task, attach a bounty to it, propose it, get it passed, and the job's there for anybody to take at that point. And it's going to be a free-for-all. And some people will think, well, this is actually a really long-winded process, but you need to understand this is a rudimentary way to do this to begin with, and it all leads to a road of being able to utilize what TFL are aiming to offer to the broader cosmos. And like I said, there's going to be so many people that want to jump on this, but who realistically is going to be the person who goes out and hires these new developers to actually come in and do the work once it's been outlined? And it doesn't need to come down to something like that. And that's exactly why I'm backing up something like this, because then you have no central authority. It's simply a governance-based decision, and that's something that I'll always stick by, even regardless of this route. For example, we want to follow the route as a blockchain towards enterprise foundation. We need to confirm that that's possible. Is it possible? Yes. Okay, then we need to discuss it as a community on Commonwealth, and then it needs to go up for a proposal, and that needs to be the proposed route going forward. And we all agree as a community, as validators, as an active set, that this is the route we intend to follow. And we cannot backpedal off of this once we begin to do it, because it's at that point we start to outline the tasks, the jobs, and the rule list for these jobs to get completed. And it's not going to be a complex situation to do. If you go and look at Warp Protocol, that's a very advanced version of what we're trying to build here. Well, not what we're trying to build. As it's stated in the proposal, it's not a complex build, and it is more or less underway in the background, so to speak. That doesn't mean it's ready. That doesn't mean it's ready to rock, but it just means things are going on in the background. So going through this, what I'm going to do is leave a link, because what I want is for you to go in, have a read, and make up your own minds. You've heard my opinion. You've heard my side of the story, so to speak, but I need you to go in and do your own research. I need you to go in and read about these things and make up your own opinion as to how you feel about something like this. Or would you rather the same method we've been using for so long now, as to which we just end up with this team that buries their head in the sand, and then the blame goes round in circles as to who's done wrong and who hasn't done wrong, and then we're back at square one. Factions cut into loads of smaller little factions. Nobody wants to talk to anybody. Nobody wants to kumbaya, and nobody wants to look at things from a business perspective. It's always very emotional for a lot of people, and I get it. Sometimes I'm emotional, and for me, my emotion comes from building everything into this blockchain from the core to what we have now. We've built it all and given it all to the blockchain. Otherwise, we would have made a third-party system, for example, like Hexagon, and we would have charged people for our auto compound module. We would have charged you for our metric sites, and we would have had advertising on everything under the sun, but we didn't. And it's never been like that, and it's never going to be like that. Even moving forward, like I said, if I have to get a group of developers together to come in and get this done, it's always going to be a situation where it's only going to be them coming in, doing the work gets checked, the T's, everything crossed, and then we move forward. They go away, and when we need them again, we say, hey, we've got another job list. Do you want to come in and take a look? And they go to themselves, well, yeah, great. We can do this in this amount of time. We can do that in this amount of time. That take this long to check it and this long to test it, this long to deploy it. It's definitely within our price range. Let's do it. And it's at that point you're becoming a very self-regulated, decentralized, well thought out blockchain that's making all of the correct moves, even though they take longer, right? They're not going to lead us to these real false results each time where we all kind of sit there and go, well, why has this happened again? It's because we don't take the time to build things like this. We rush in head first. So what I want for the community right now is to understand there's so much going on behind the scenes right now, and it's absolute chaos as to where this is all going, and trying to package it all down as to, can we do it? Is it possible? How many devs are we going to need? How long is it going to take? What changes do we need to make? There's so many different things that go into this. And then at the same time, right, everything's reliant after governance, after everything like that. It's all reliant on the L1. And you've seen them go against the will of the community with my own proposal, which they've now had to backtrack and start playing that out. My issue is by the time they get the website and the documentation done, they're going to try build a wallet and they're going to try figure out endpoints. Well, we've got continued support from TFL and V3. That is confirmed 100%. We're part of that moving forward. Our endpoints are provided by all nodes, and the route towards foundation is about getting endpoints. So it's at what point are they even listening anymore, or they're even interwoven into as to what's going on, how the community is feeling, and where this is all heading. But like I said, with all this being said, it's just my own opinion, folks. It's just kind of what I'm going through, how I'm feeling, and where I'm at with things. There's so many people, like I said, that want someone to be a leader, but we don't need that. We don't. All right. It corrupts the best of people. We've seen it happen time and time again. And those who it doesn't corrupt, they end up just under mass amounts of attacks. They get doxxed, their families get doxxed, their home addresses get doxxed. It's not an environment that's suited for anybody. And this just overrules that and puts it down to a decentralized decision. And this is what Luna are building towards with labor markets. So all we're doing is bringing in a system to cover the base until we can get to there in the future, if we can get to there. And from what we understand, it's all cross-chain compatible as standard. So that means, yes, all of us are going to be involved. And it was something that is moving around on the news sort of feeds and all of the different routers and stuff that I use, is the fact that this is for the whole cosmos, not just for our chain, not just for White Whale, not just for Juno or Akajiro. It's for the whole cosmos. If we want to utilize it, we can utilize it. Folks, stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.